All right. Why don't we just throw this thing in the go? Well, Mike Leibovitz, that's okay with me. If it's okay with you, how you doing, kid? You all right? Oh, we're having some kind of technical difficulties here to begin the show. I think you had the right song there. Should have just gone straight to taps. Marlins game. The people, even in the fancy schmancy seats behind home plate there, everybody's on their cell phone and nobody's watching the action. Nobody.
Our friend George was asking if, how much would they pay you? How much would they have to pay to go to the game? And I laughed. I said, Defo used to go regularly. That
It's a good ballpark from viewing. Yes. The problem is crossing into Dade County. I mean, as soon as you cross into Dade County, the driving tactics are they alter completely. It's like Formula One versus NASCAR from Broward to Dade.
Is it bad that I feel more comfortable there? Like I was there Saturday.
Yeah.
Just driving like a loon. And it's accepted.
I spent much time there, trust me.
Like I get into Broward and I have to like control myself. And it's not like Broward's perfect. It's still South Florida, but it's
no. I mean, the drivers are awful. Probably. I mean, you would hear this in every city. Oh, man, nobody drives like the people here.
Miami's great. Miami, you can do like the stuff you would get honked.
You don't know
at.
if the guy next to you is passed away and is at the wheel. Like literally Weekend at Bernie's.
Like you pull moves anywhere, even in Broward. Like you cut someone off the middle finger, and I'm like, dude.
Oh yeah,
I didn't even do anything to you. But if you drive in Miami like a lunatic, no one even notices. They're like, yeah, that's normal.
Very normal, yeah. I mean, the rules are suspended there of any kind of road etiquette. That's for sure.
They don't honk.
Tires are flying out of nowhere, even though they didn't come off any car. People are dropping stones from the bridges. The fuck?
The time. Wake up with Defo, joined by Lubie. Welcome to the Defo Show.
I think you could have gone just straight to taps, Lubie, to open up the show. You wouldn't have to go through all of that technical machinations that you had to dive into to get this thing off the ground. Morning, everybody. Good to be with you here. Can we do it? Now, why don't we just go ahead and provide the sound effect here? You would think it would be a burial all time, would you not? We've taken these calls over the years, though, Lubie. It's always comical to me, the whole idea of the fan revolt, the fan boycott. Someone will, now that you have social media, you get to see this from everybody. It's not just waiting for some hothead to call in on a talk show and go, I'm never going to another fucking game again.
Oh, yeah. Oh, God.
I'll hang up and listen. I'm not buying one of their fucking hot dogs. I'm not buying one of their fucking overpriced beers. And it gets exceedingly more Pesci-esque as the conversation goes. You're there on the dump button thinking, geez, I can never let Lenny the Chronic call in again. And, and it creates quite, I don't know, should we say a word like furor? Not meaning like a dictator, but as in like a frenzy.
I mean, in '97, I don't think we've reacted that way in a long time to that fucking organization.
Yeah, because after a while, I mean, I don't know. It's been a few times, but after a short period of time, especially in this town, the town without pity, nobody cares. How many times can you go back to the same theme, though, Lubie? That would be the question, and still have any modicum of success enough to sustain the franchise long enough to at least fulfill the first lease. What do they have? They got to be here for like another 26 years or something, don't they?
I don't know.
That stadium's been around a while now. I'm thinking it's relatively new, but it's not anymore, is it?
Well, at least a decade, if not longer.
Lone Depot?
Yeah, it's been almost as long as we've been doing shows together. They've had a stadium.
Lone Shark Park. Yeah, but I mean, that stuff never flies, does it? I don't know. Did I have enough of a fan base at this stage to even have people be outraged? I saw our good friend O.J. McDuffie. He's a big supporter of all the local teams. O.J., a wonderful athlete, great person, sweetheart of a man. And I think he may have a little stake there in that Licky Sticky barbecue. What do you think?
I know
Juliet?
He's friendly with Juliet. He may be involved. I wouldn't put it past him. The place is great.
Guy has bread. You're thinking, right? He believes in the product and the service, and it is a good spot. But that aside, that's for discussion. That would be a Mayo investigation. But not that it matters. I mean, you would hope that people support each other, and that this would be a wonderful partnership. But even he came out and said, "That's it. That's it for me. It's over. I'll never go to another Marlin game. Fuck him." He didn't say fuck him, but
was he not there already? I mean, that's what you said yesterday when we were talking to You're like a fire sale. I'm like, can you have a fire sale when you're already bad? Like it's just Okay.
I mean, they had some guys that major league teams obviously would want, and I even saw some diehard Marlin fans online. There are like two guys on social media that I follow that. I mean, they're diehards. I mean, one would be our good friend Jimmy Ross,
Yeah, he's big.
but even he's like thinking this is another futile attempt to pacify people. That in a few more years you're going to be good, and once that kicks in, it'll never stop.
I give our friend Mish credit. Now, I don't know if he said this across the board, but I guess they've been getting interesting prospects.
Yeah,
So he was like, they have like 3 mashers now, and they have this, they have that. And I'm like, oh, stop it, Mish. I'm like,
you're dreaming, right? Because of course the myth of the Sisyphus syndrome is in play here, where you can push it right to the top and then boom, whoosh, right back down to the bottom again because you're not in a position to sustain having those players once they mature on your roster anymore. How many times have we seen that syndrome flip itself? And if you have one of those franchises, and there was always the threat. This was the magic question, I guess, Lubie. And I'm inclined to say, are you better off having a team here than not?
yes, look, I'm not in the our friend Scott's like they don't even exist anymore. I'm not that. Look, it's cool to have baseball here.
You at least are in with a shot if you have a franchise. No, it's not costing me anything.
It just gets annoying to every few years. Look, when they were in the playoffs 2 years ago, I cared. I got into the playoffs just like the
We
Patriots.
loved Don Mattingly even when they were losing with him, and then when they won, it was a celebration.
The year with Mattingly and when they beat the Cubs, and then last year when they got pummeled by the Phillies. I watched the games. I got into it, but I haven't cared about the regular season since I was in college. I mean, they've made it pretty clear that they're not serious, and Bendix can be doing all these moves to retool the minor.
Who knows what that's going to amount to? You have no idea, right?
I don't want to hear about it. Look, Buying Fest forward, that's all what they've all tried to do. Let's get prospects and okay, whatever.
And who's winning of late? I mean, who were we talking about the other day? Dave Dombrowski, who was the architect. And how did he do it? Did he do it with prospects here with the Marlins? No. I don't even know if he ever drafted anybody that made the club.
And nowhere he's been, he's done that with the Marlins, the upstart Marlins.
Same thing, yeah.
5 years into an existence, he said, "Fuck that, we're getting real players." The Tigers, they hadn't won since I don't know Mickey Lolich because they didn't. Win
You're right. Yeah. Listen to you with a Lolich reference. Nice job.
Well, they had Cecil Fielder, who would hit these bomb shots, and Alan Trammell, and they sucked.
And Denny McClain,
And Dombrowski's like, "Fuck all that, we're getting real players." They go to the World Series. They have Verlander. They have. They have all these players. They have a really fun. They go and get Cabrera.
It's always veterans, yes.
And now he's with the Phillies. Remember after they had those runs with Jimmy Rollins and Ryan Howard, they hit a lull. Dombrowski's like, "Fuck all that. We're getting real players. Win a World Series or in a World Series." I mean.
Yeah, the prospect thing, I mean, it can work. Some franchises do it very well. I mean, we've seen that with the Tampa Bay Rays, who, of course, this was where they got the idea to get this Bendix guy in the first place. Look, maybe he's onto something. I don't know that you can really have a whole lot of faith in that. The guy, Robbie Snelling, what was touted as the best of these prospects they snared back. They got him from the Padres. He's in Double-A ball. And they got him as a part of I think, like a package of 4 guys for Tanner Scott. All of these guys are gone. The only guy they didn't trade yesterday, I think, was Tommy Hutton. I actually texted Tommy and asked him if he was still with the club. I mean, well, before the season, they traded John Birdie to the Yankees. Dave Hyde was saying that was a sign of things to come. I was absolutely... rarely am I surprised by anything, especially a franchise that's been going south forever, or seemingly so. And every time they give even a slight blip on the radar that they may be coming into form, boom, it's over, like almost immediately.
It's just
and yet, there are beloved Marlins here in town, and many of them, it seems like they go mostly way back to the distant past.
No, it's Conine. I mean, you think about Conine and that era.
We were excited to see Alex Fernandez that time. We ran into him at Sicilian Oven when we were out there out west there.
Yeah, I look, and I know we're going to get to Perk.
Yeah.
Talk about an organization that's at least trying. Who knows what the hell the Dolphins are, but you can't say they're not trying. It's just interesting to see the 2 other lowly organizations go in 2 very different directions, right? The Marlins we're always at least the third in the area. The Panthers were a lowly fourth, right? Well, what do the Panthers do? They say a legend in hockey. They say, all right, Talon, you've done enough. Let's go with this younger dude who has a lot
Stale
of
or stale, exactly. Yes.
bring in Zito, and he just woof. They go to the playoffs every year. They are a number one seed. They, after falling short with the number one seed, say, screw this, recalibrate. They go to the Stanley Cup as being an 8th seed. They then win the Stanley Cup. The Marlins were the organization who had won before, who had a history. We did follow them with a little more fervor than we did the Panthers, because baseball is a little bit easier to sell in South Florida than hockey. And they are building. Mattingly sets up the table for a Schumacher. They go and get Eng. They go and make a playoffs. They make the right moves. Oh, look at that. Look at the Marlins. Blink of an eye. They piss off Eng. They piss off Schumacher. And they just get rid of anything valuable they throw away. It's like,
yeah.
It's just
this looks like a list of people that were impacted by an accident. Only probably fortunate for them. All right, so they get rid of AJ Puck. That was a couple of days ago. Dela Cruz was kind of an interesting player. Josh Bell wasn't having a great year. Trevor Rogers looked like after a promising rookie year, he was a stiff.
Yeah, he's fine.
Brazaban, I'd seen him a couple of times. I don't know if I could give you any great impression of his talent level, but it was good enough to be traded for prospects. Jazz Chisholm gone. Chargois sounds like something Mike Mayo would order with the pork chop. I'll have that with the Chargois, please. And two other guys that they got rid of. Honing, is that the guy's name?
Yes.
They may as well have been replaced by the Savannah Bananas. It would be far more entertaining. That's for sure. All right, we have the Olympics to get to, but it's post time, and we want to introduce and this is great. I was thinking about him this morning when I was doing my what would that be for me? Like bowel movement is a yoga exercise.
I don't know if he wants to be in your brain.
I don't know if you wanted to be included in this conversation. Chris Perkins, the preeminent columnist when it comes to the Miami Dolphins.
He was 5 minutes ago. And then he joined us.
Yeah, I guess this is going to tarnish your reputation a little bit. I hope it doesn't hurt it enough to cost you any money. Chris Perkins with us here on the show. Chris, how are you, my friend?
I've never had an intro like that before. And I hope I never have one again.
Well, yeah,
I would think of me, but let's.
I love you, man.
Let's
you know
regulate the time there.
We used to get a big kick out of when you were scheduled to do morning shows with Joe Rose and Goldie and me, and we would all have action on whether or not you were going to answer the phone. And we had great respect for the fact that 2 days later you would call in and go, "Hey guys, I thought I was supposed to be on with you today." And
he had a 3-day.
Like, no, that was Wednesday, Chris.
Coming home from South Beach.
All right, here's what I love, man. I thought of you because I'm reading my New York Post, and they have the kind of who's hot, who's not thing.
Oh, yeah.
And I used to get a kick out of it. Like a guy would drop a pass, and Barry Jackson would already have speculation on some a Miami Herald website that he was about to be traded. But I mean, how is it going out there, training camp so far? You've been out there a few days. I mean, is there anything that we can deduce from what's happening at training camp with the Miami Dolphins so far?
Well, let me tell you this. First of all, I've missed the last couple of practices with COVID. So
really? You look good, kid.
I tested positive on Saturday afternoon. And so I'm texting people. What happened? I was talking to one of my sisters on the phone. She said, "You sound congested. You should get tested for COVID."
Yeah,
I went out and I got a Walgreens test, and sure enough, I was positive. So I'm texting people, the job, and other media people that I was around, and I texted the Dolphins media relations person.
Oh, geez.
And she texts back, said blah blah blah. Glad that you told me. Hope you feel better soon. And it ends with "see you Thursday." So I was banned. I've basically been banned until tomorrow.
Oh, okay. But I thought it was going to say "get the fuck out of here," which would have been a little out of character for
right.
The Dolphins brass.
Not a person, yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. But so enough about me. Training camp. Look.
Well, how do you feel? I mean, you look okay. It doesn't seem that this COVID that's passing is as severe as it was when they were carrying guys out in body bags. putting them on refrigerator trucks.
Yeah.
We don't want to mention during the Trump administration, but anyway, were you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine. The vultures have stopped circling my condo, so I'm
Okay.
good. No, like Sunday I was wiped out, but today I'm good. I was actually good Monday. Yesterday, was better, and then today I feel even better. I got the Paxlovid from the doctor,
There
so
you go. That'll do it.
yeah. I think I'll be, probably 90% tomorrow.
Okay,
Which
excellent. Well,
that's
I mean, maybe that was a good time to get it, the beginning of training camp.
yeah.
When people are scrambling for information that they can pass along, which may have little or no meaning. I mean, how much emphasis do you put on what you see out there, Chris Perkins? I mean, it seems like I mean, if you're a sports fan or a paid sports observer like you are and Lubie and I are at times, that you should have an eye for the guy that's going to make the club, and that's kind of a fun thing to try and spot.
Yeah. You know what? So here's how I watch these practices, Defo and Lubie. You're not necessarily looking at the veterans, Tua and Tyreek and
Yeah.
Jalen Waddle, because right now, the way training camp is structured nowadays, it's the young guys who are getting most of the reps and they're doing most of the meaningful stuff. So you're looking kind of for the draft picks. Chop Robinson, the first round pick from Penn State, the defensive end, he's had a very good start to camp.
Okay.
Patrick Paul, the second round pick from Houston, the offensive tackle, not so much, but really you're looking for those guys. When you look at the veterans is like they have a joint practice with Atlanta next week. August 6th and 7th. And that's before the game on the 9th. I think the game is the 9th. So those joint practices, that's when you look at the veterans. What is Tua doing? What is Teron Armstead doing? Mostert, Tyreek. Right now, yeah, you're looking for the youngsters, the draft picks, the up-and-coming guys, the guys who, haven't yet proven themselves, like Kader Kohu, Robert Jones, Liam Eichenberg, those type of guys.
I'm not sure I'm a believer in the Jets yet. Wait and see what happens when Aaron Rodgers actually takes the field and plays. New England, you figure, is in the shitter,
Yeah.
searching for a new identity after the Belichick era finally came to an end. The Buffalo Bills, most conversation seems to imply that, and then you look at the guys they lost, including Stephon Diggs. Okay, so maybe they're not as good of a team. And so where does that leave us with the Miami Dolphins? In your opinion, Chris Perkins, are they a possibility to win actually this year, the AFC East?
Oh, definitely. You know what? And you guys tell me this. This sounds like it sounded a year ago, right?
Yeah.
Where
Yeah.
except that Stephon Diggs is left, but Aaron Rodgers is still a mystery, right? Because we haven't seen him with the Jets.
Sure.
The Dolphins pretty much have the same cast of characters back. And then Buffalo, they're the guys who have won the division, but they've had losses, and Stephon Diggs is a major one. Jordan Poyer, the safety, is now with the Dolphins. So I think it sounds a lot like it did last year. For me, the thing is still the same with the Dolphins. You've got to show me that you can beat the good teams. Again, 1-6 last year against playoff teams, and in those 7 games, they averaged 16 points per game.
Wow.
So yeah, you've got to show me that you can do it at the big time. And again, also in December and January, the last 2 years, the Dolphins are 4-10.
Yeah.
So you add those things up, right? 1-6 against playoff teams, 4-10 at the biggest time of the year, and then your offense is averaging 16 points a game against those playoff teams. Show me you can beat the good teams at the big moments at the big time of the year. And that's really what it is. And unfortunately for the Dolphins, Josh Allen is like 10-2 against these guys. Like
Wow.
Buffalo pounds them. And that 4-10 record in December and January, guess when they play the Jets both times? December and January this year.
So he always looks like he's like John Wayne breaking up a bar brawl while he's mowing through the Dolphins defense for like some ridiculous 37-yard gain where he spun off 6 tackles. Yeah, I always see that. And that's one thing we didn't see. Lubie and I have been discussing this, of course, at great length, as everybody has, about Tua in a contract and whether it was a good move or not. But Yeah, I mean, we've been discussing it, and you don't see that necessarily from Tua. Lubie's got something for you, though, Perk.
Well, I was just on that because, and look, and I don't, we've talked with Perk, we read Perk, so I know where Perk stood on the Tua thing. Dave Hyde stood in a very similar place before Friday. You were leaning, don't extend him. Yeah. If you have to franchise tag him. We don't know what he is. He's better than what we've had, but he's not that top 5 group, whatever. Okay, fine.
Right.
Well, they didn't listen. They extended it. Okay. We talked with Dave yesterday, and a big reason why he said my thing was, okay, fine. If you can just do franchise tags, why not just do that, right? Yep. If you're going to keep him, you want to keep him, and that way you have him for 3 more years, right? You have the 5th year this year, and then 2 more years.
Yep.
Okay. Well, they didn't do that. And to me, the question was, then why extend him? Why not do the franchise tags? We heard Dave answer yesterday. I'm curious your answer to that exact question is, if you can franchise tag him 2 years in a row, and we've seen other organizations do it. Dallas is doing it right now with Dak Prescott. We've seen they did that. The Ravens did it with Lamar Jackson, who was an MVP, and it worked out okay for them. He got about the same money he would have gotten anyways. Why didn't the Dolphins, in your mind, take that course of action, the course of action you thought they should take?
Well, number one, you want Tua to be happy, and he is happy with multiple years and long-term stability. Number two, the Dolphins can get out of this thing in 2027, right?
One extra year. Yeah, because it was
So that's another good thing. And then, the third thing is you want to be able to plan as a franchise. And you could plan to sign Tua to the franchise tags and proceed that way. But having him under contract is a lot more stable. If you want to get a free agent or whatever, it's a lot more stable. I think that the structure of this deal is better, is ideal for the Dolphins. So it's not necessarily a team-friendly deal. I think it's a fair deal. So having said that, I'll tell you this, Lubie, to me, if I'm the Dolphins, my next move is securing Tyreek Hill. Yeah. Because I don't want Tua here without Tyreek. Tua is not the same without Tyreek. So to me, that's the next move. But, yes, you stated my position very accurately, and the Dolphins didn't listen to me like they frequently don't do. And so we're at the point that we are. But I do like the structure of the deal. I will credit Chris Greer and Brandon Shore because they're not married to Tua. They're still kind of engaged to him.
Yeah. It was a 4-year, as these other deals we've seen with Goff, and those are 5-year deals. Yep. There was an interesting move by them to only make it 4. And unlike some of these other deals where almost the entire contract's guaranteed, really only the first 3 years are guaranteed.
Right. And that's what's so smart about this is that, you can kind of get out of this thing after a while if it's not working out. So I like the way it was structured. I still wouldn't have done it. But what they did is very smart. It keeps both sides happy.
The Dolphins making genius moves, diplomatic in their fashion and execution, and very surprising because other franchises, as we were discussing before you came on, not necessarily in that same modus operandi. All right, I guess the magic question is this then, Chris, and as always, we thank you, especially under the conditions here, recovering from COVID. My God. And practically in a body bag himself, and he still comes on the show. You got to respect that, Lubie. And I'm sorry I took the under on you showing up on some of those first team appearances when you were running around town.
And you probably made a lot of money.
Well, I mean, I was experiencing the same thing. Only I had to go to the job. So I mean, but believe me, I was seeing the same stars that you were when I woke up in the morning. But Mike McDaniel. So I mean, we've seen him morph into Brandon Staley at times, and yet we want to love this guy. We really do. I mean, it's a great thing when you see somebody that's a little bit different. I mean, compared to these stodgy old coaches, he really is. The second time I'm going to reference it this week, he really is like a Christo art project, where you're looking and you're going, "What the fuck is that, man? That's not an NFL coach. It doesn't look anything like an NFL coach." So, and you like some of what he does. I mean, he definitely has something. We saw it when he was offensive or run game coordinator with San Francisco under Shanahan. That there's something a little different about the way these guys run the football, and the lateral movement of the field and taking advantage of these pockets that are in zones seems to be really really adept at that. And like you said, Hill and Tua have a great connection on that. He throws a 5-yard pass, it turns into 30, and that's what you want. But where is he at? I mean, and is it Ed Ogeron time with this guy if things don't go right?
Yeah, what's going to be interesting is, money and time tend to change things. People aren't as patient anymore. So for Tua and Mike McDaniel, I wonder if the scholarship is up, because really they've both been Teflon, right? These first 2 years, not winning a playoff game with all that talent. Everybody, well, it's the offensive line, it's the injuries, it's the playing in cold weather, blah, blah, blah.
It's Trump syndrome. It's always somebody else.
Yeah, it's all right. It's always
it was him. It was him.
Right, that's right. So I do wonder if the scholarship is going to be up now that Tua has gotten his money. Now this the third year of this offense. I don't know what comes after this sentence, right? If the Dolphins don't win a playoff game this year, ... I don't know if Mike McDaniel get fired. Did you find a new quarterback? Or I don't know what comes after that sentence for fans, So is the scholarship over? I don't know. But we do know that McDaniel needs to win a playoff game. Tua needs to win a playoff game. The Dolphins need to win a playoff game.
You would think. Excellent report for a guy who's been knocked out for the last couple of days. You're like Juan Manuel Marquez coming off the canvas after round one of the Pacquiao fight that he came back and fought to a draw. They're getting knocked down four times. Yeah.
This is easy. I got to do the Dolphins deep dive at noon on sunsentinel.com. That'll go for about 45 minutes. So we'll see if I can keep my wits about me.
You were brilliant today. I mean, that was a great report for a guy who wasn't even out there. That was tremendous.
I've been in the days. It's all smoke and mirrors, and
Harry Jackson's out there schwitzing his brains out, trying to just get one tweet that somebody will, put a like on. And you just knocked it out of the park, kid. That's great stuff. All right, thanks, Chris Perkins. Always a pleasure, my friend.
You're the best. Feel better, man.
Good stuff. All right, speaking of good stuff, we have the man himself. I mean, you talk about Mr. Dolphin. This guy's more associated and affiliated with the Dolphins than Dolphin Denny was back in the day. Tony Segreto going to join us here. And look at that, man. That cathedral-like background that you have behind you can mean only one thing, as the great Fred Caposelli used to say. It is now post-time. I mean, you're in Vermont. We can tell.
Yep.
You look good, kid.
Come on.
How you feeling?
I feel great. I'm ready to roll. And
a lot of stuff here on the plate today, Tony.
I see.
It's a smorgasbord. We couldn't even get to the Olympics yet, because we were dissecting what happened here with this Marlin franchise, which, we'll get into this with Tony Segreto. We're going to go old school with Tony. It's brought to you by Texas Roadhouse Restaurants, as always here. That is Mike Lubitz. I'm Jeff DeForest. Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll be back with Tony Segreto and old school in a moment. Now that
the time,
it's 8:34.
Here, let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously, friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. All those ingredients, no pun meant there, are hard to find unless you're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. You see, they encompass all of those attributes. Really, really good food, amazing atmosphere, good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs unmatched, steaks hand-cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. It's the one day, folks, that you can forget about low-carb diets. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453-9066.
What we gonna do right here is go back, way back into time.
We are now kicking it old school with the one and only Tony Segreto. Brought to you by Texas Roadhouse.
Tell me, doctor.
Welcome back to the show, people. Good to have you guys with us. Thanks so much for joining us. We're going old school with the legendary broadcaster Tony Segreto here, who's been to many a Dolphins training camp over the years. In fact, you probably had the most direct connection of anybody in the media to not only the great late Don Shula, but to many of the Dolphins brass, which I don't know. I mean, if this is true, Tony, a guy like Eddie Jones, who was one of these guys that we talk about in the same
Classic.
context. Yeah, I mean, he was like one of these guys that was exuding class, as
Yes.
Trevor Denman would say, and he was very accessible, and he would sort of talk to you, and you felt like you were, not necessarily, some schmank reporter talking to an executive, but it was much more personal. Of course, you had the thing where you sat with Shula, and that amazed me. I mean, I'm new in town, and I'm sitting at a table, and Don Shula's just chewing the fat with, like,
know.
you, me, Harvey Fialkoff, anybody that was covering the team at the time.
He was on a clock, though. He was on a clock. You never knew he was on a clock
Yeah.
until he had to go.
He was very regimented, though, in that fashion. I mean, he had some kind of militaristic, sort of, way of operating. He did, yeah. I mean, but it was very casual. You don't see that anymore. I don't know. I mean, what are your recollections of going out there? What are some of the things? I have a few things that I can still envision today about going out and visiting various Dolphin training camps.
Well, the biggest vision in the vision that pops into my head is the day they let the alligator out in the training room, and
was Monica behind that? Bobby Monica?
No telling, but I know who was behind it, but I'm not going to say. Shula comes out in his towel, and he's who put the damn.
You could go ahead, Tony. I mean, it would be breaking with your normal decorum, but you can throw in a couple of F-bombs.
And Zonka and Kick are all laughing, and they said, well, Coach, at least he didn't bite you. He said, bite me.
They put it in the toilet where Shula was going to sit down on the pot, and there's an alligator in there.
Yeah.
That's some good shit right there. I mean,
That's amazing.
That's good stuff. I remember the people passing out, and what you would have thought would have been a relatively easy and simple accomplishment for any professional athlete. And that was the Don Shula regimented 12-minute run. Remember that?
12-minute run.
And there was like a big buzz around. There wasn't like there was an overwhelming media presence out there. What would you say? Tops 20 guys at a Dolphin training camp then?
20.
Not even 10?
10.
A couple of radio reporters. You had some newspaper guys. No, I don't know, maybe 15, 20 guys covering the team. But I mean, they would be all, it's today. I tell you what, the 12-minute run, you got to be out there. And I just remember, and I just saw him recently, I just remember Ed Newman absolutely passing out.
Hated it.
And he looks great now, Tony. I mean, you would not recognize a lot of these former Dolphin players because, I mean, they have slimmed down to the point where they could literally be, some French model walking the runway.
Well, Ed Newman's a judge, first of all, and he deserves the deepest respect. But if there was one person who hated the 12-minute run, it was him.
Yeah,
and he was grabbing his, he was doing this all the way through.
He never made it. I mean, the full 12. I mean, he was passing out after about 5 minutes on one lap. I mean, he was like, and he was athletic though. I mean, it wasn't like he was some giant guy that you thought was going to have a heart attack out there. Plus, it was 100 degrees.
Yeah, and there were other guys, like Paul Warfield and Nat Moore and guys like that who were.
Clayton's running it backwards like he was Jimmy Pearsall running out that home run.
Running it like no other, big deal.
Yeah.
Big deal. But, that 12-minute run was famous for Don Shula. And, I miss him. I really miss him because he was a great man. He was a great man beyond the coach. He was a great father. He was a great husband. He personified what it is to be a coach, to be regimented, to be on time. to this day, I still use many of the things that he had in place.
You did like a couple of thousand of those Don Shula shows too.
No, I didn't do them. Chuck Dowdle did them.
Oh, Dowdle was doing the Don. Oh yeah, remember that? What was the advertising agency that was the? Oh man, it was a big advertising agency in Miami, and they were the ones that put together the Don Shula show with Chuck Dowdle. You're right, on Channel 10.
Channel 10.
And yeah, it was good. I mean, but you
Yeah.
did something, didn't you? I mean, you were hosting some kind of dolphin thing. Weren't
I
you, Tony?
hosted I hosted everything but the show.
Okay.
Oh, okay. All right. Cephalo was involved for a while with some kind of dolphin thing with the Mad Dog Jim Manich. But no, it was kind of gentler times. In fact, you had a lot of players would show up and do these sort of things. I am pretty sure most of my years there at WIOD, which was like 6 years, I guess, altogether. Yeah, I was always doing some kind of dolphin show from somewhere, some rib joint on a Monday night. And, these guys were all over the place. It was great. I don't know that you see much of that anymore.
No, you don't. We, Richmond Webb and Bob Kuchenberg and Nick Bonacani and Mark Clayton and Stuper and Marino and Greasy and just on and on and on. You saw them, in the stores.
Yeah.
You saw them out to dinner.
Yeah.
They were part of the fabric of the society
Yeah.
of Miami, and now these guys are hidden.
Maybe, maybe that just comes with the new turf there because it's a much more dangerous and volatile time.
Yes, yes, it is.
Tony Segreto, yeah, for sure. All right, how many times have you seen this? And we've talked about it many times, and I know you're not a big fan of the whole syndrome. Nobody seems to be, and yet it keeps happening. And that's, this business with the Marlins yesterday, not that we didn't see it coming. And then it was funny because I was following some guy. He was on Facebook, and he's like, "Look at that! We got rid of everybody, and now they're leading the race 3-1." So they ended up losing that game 9-3. They ended up getting absolutely clobbered in the ball game, and in the process, this is beyond unprecedented. Not that these guys were all great or anything, but
they were all bad
because they were playing for a really shitty team. So how badly can you feel about their departure? But they got rid of everybody. Tommy Hutton was the only guy not traded yesterday. Tommy Hutton, the announcer.
You feel he may be traded.
Yeah, you never know.
Yeah.
No, he said he had a no trade clause. I texted him. I did. This is true. I texted him yesterday and said, "Tommy, are you still with the team?" And because anybody that even picked up a baseball, what was somewhere else? Yeah, he had a no trade clause, though. He said.
You feel good for the players that were traded. Because they can go to a team now that has fans, that has, how can baseball survive
here in South Florida?
With a franchise
that's the
like
magic
this?
Question.
With a franchise like the Marlins, they can't. It just boggles my mind that they can survive.
Well, obviously they get some help, from the overall profits that are being made by Major League Baseball, and then the franchise. How does the value of the franchise escalate when you have like zero interest in a team? That's
none.
That's kind of wild. Yeah,
where are they on the sports section today?
Oh, well, they may be high up today because they are a disaster, but they won't be high up.
Actually, I saw somebody that was doing an analysis about winners and losers on the trade deadline, and there weren't not really a ton of blockbuster deals. And the guy actually, with a question mark, said that maybe the Marlins were a winner. No, really, because nobody knows about the prospects. And as we said, most of these guys, they were playing for a team that was playing .333 baseball. Yes. All year. So, they were as bad as only the White Sox, stink worse than the Marlins do. But you've seen this, Tony, and talking to people over the years. How many times had this conversation come up about, I'll never go to another game again?
Yeah.
And yet this has perpetuated itself. This is at least the fourth or fifth time we've just had a complete, pull the rug out from underneath whatever little you had going, in the name of prospects. But and then, the people start to think, well, it's only going to happen again the next time when these guys finally get good. They're all gone too. But the fans never follow up on that, Tony. Have you not found that to be the truth?
That's the truth. They don't follow up because it's an outing. It's a timeout. It's I can escape the world for 3 hours. But the truth of the matter is, they if they stick to what they say, if they stick to it, then the franchise suffers. But to this day, I can't figure out how the Marlins still function like they do.
Oh, they're going to tell you that they just made a series of brilliant moves, and you just wait, fans. I mean, it's hard to buy it. You're looking at some guy's stats, and he's got 16 homers in Double-A. I mean, what does that equate out to when he gets to the pros? Well, we have no idea.
Yeah.
They have gotten guys, Lubie, in the past where they did blossom while they were Marlins that they were acquired in deals.
But blossom to the point where then they're tradable.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the point.
The reality is, look, people, if they win, they'll go. I mean, that's what the frustrated means. I'm not going to go when they lose. If they win, I'll go, and that's fine. The problem is, it's what both of you guys have talked about, being in this market for this long. When a team's bad and everyone bitches, that's not bad. It's because people have expectations still, and they're surprised that they're bad, so they bitch. It's when teams are bad and no one talks about it, and that's what the Marlins are. Again,
no one
all year before these trades. Literally, the only reason we're talking about them is because they made a ton of moves for people no one even knew. That's where they live, and I don't know how they're going to get out of that because they're not doing any. Like they showed us last year, they can find good executives, and they can make good moves, and they can find their way into the postseason, which big cities do. But within a blink of an eye, they undo all of it. So, okay, look, if they find a way in the next 5 years with this Bendix guy to start winning, we'll watch. It's hard to believe they will. It's hard to believe they went from where they were last year and had such a lack of foresight that they did everything opposite. They pissed off Aang instead of promoting her or saying, look, we're going to raise you to president, but let's bring in someone to help you with the draft because we know you're great at making moves, but there's ways to assuade people. There's ways to massage situations where you can pick up where you're lacking and also compliment the person who did a good job. No, they did the opposite. They're like, look, we want to keep you here. We want to keep you happy, but we're going to find someone who's been below you his whole career and raise him above you. But we still believe it's like, okay. So
what does that mean? What does it mean? It pisses you off. It pisses me off. It pisses the two of you off.
It pissed Aang off, and she left.
Imagine how she feels.
I'm numb to it, which
she left.
Is something that Lubie was alluding to. I mean, the indifference is where you would have to think that it's over. But obviously these teams are being funded by things outside of ticket sales.
Oh, yeah.
But you would have to also think that the rights fees would be relatively worthless. I mean, I know the radio, I think they paid for the time and bought the time on the station.
Yes. How many were at the game last night?
Oh, good.
Well, they were in Tampa last night.
Well,
so I mean, that's a bad example because Tampa, even though they do the same thing every year, still manages to be a factor in the AL East where that everybody's gung-ho and ready to go for it.
They could get away. They could get away with it in cities with bones. By that I mean, cities with history, with like the Phillies, like the
Cubs are in last place.
Yeah, like the Yankees. They could pull it off, but here they're not going to have anybody. I mean, other than today, this will be it. We won't talk about them anymore, right?
I mean, it's always interesting to see failed franchises, and I mean, as much as people try to examine why the great ones are at the top, you look at the strategies and the maneuvers of franchises like this, and you have to ask yourself, how on earth are they able to sustain it?
I don't know. Go ahead, Lubie.
That's the thing about the big tentpole cities, right? When they do this, look, and the Cubs, before they won their first World Series in over 100 years, they did this, right? I forget his name. The guy that from the Red Sox came over and said, screw it. We're paying for a lot of people to suck. We're going to go. We're going to
Theo
gut it.
Epstein. Yeah.
Theo Epstein, we're going to gut it. We're going to, and they brought in Madden, right? We're going to gut it. We're going to start from scratch. But then within 2-3 years, they started paying for players again. And then they went and won a World Series. The Yankees went from the late 90s, early 2000s. They went to the 2010s. They weren't winning. All right, let's go lean into farm system. Denbo, before he came here, that's why we wanted him, because he was able to go and draft younger guys, bring in younger guys, Judge, that whole next group. And they went and they are at least contending year in, year out. And I already went back to spending again, right? The Dodgers, same thing. They took the guy, Andrew, Goodman, whatever the hell his name is, from the Rays. They went low level, but then quickly they go and spend. That's the problem for the Marlins. They don't have a track record of, okay, after we're down for a year or two, we're going to quickly go and spend. We're going to be down for a year or two, maybe win for a year. Okay, then drunk it again. That's the problem. These other big city franchises don't do it for 5-10 years and repeat it over and over again. And the Rays get away with it because they're winning while they're doing it. So who gives a shit? If you're junking players but winning, it's not bad. You're being smart.
Yeah.
When you're junking players while losing constantly, you're just in a perpetual cycle of suck. And that's the problem is the Marlins, these other cities do it to rebuild and restart over. They're like, look, we're not winning with big money. Let's start over. But the Marlins were winning. The Marlins had built a nice young group. The Marlins had built a front office that was smart and making the right moves. They just needed tweaks. They should have talked to the goddamn fucking Panthers and Bill Zito, because he literally did it right. He's like, you know what? Screw you, Talon. You gave me some nice young core players. I'm going to build around that. So the Marlins with Jeter and now with Ang just threw it away. And it's perpetual.
How do you really feel, Lubie?
You uncorked a wave of emotion, which you wouldn't have thought was there.
It's just, it's there.
It's sickening after a while. But we actually bought into some of this Marlin rhetoric. I mean, skeptically, but at the same time, when we were doing all of these shows with the Marlins, because the franchise was on the radio station we were on there at 940. Okay, I mean, look, you know how this goes, Tony. You're not going to go out there with some kind of adversarial Al Lombardo type of approach and everything the guy says. You're going to say, that's fucking bullshit. So you want to believe, and you had reason to at least, sort of take a passive approach to overwhelming criticism, which was probably due. But it's really unfortunate because it's sort of a romance sport, right? I mean, when you were a kid, you had certain players that you identified with, and if you can't really root for their development because it's going to be eventually just something that they pass along to another team. It's hard to get attached to a ball club like that over years and years.
It was such a romance.
Yeah,
it was such a dance. It was
a long, hot summer. It got you through a lot of different things.
Oh my God,
it was great.
You'd listen to the games on the radio. You'd listen to. Now, you just don't care. You just don't care about the Marlins. You care about the Yankees. You care about whatever team you were brought up liking, but. Boy, oh boy!
But the fans, I don't know. They're not. I mean, it's like a small core of fans that they have that are probably unwaveringly loyal. And some of those people will look and say, "Okay, let's see how this works out." But it's unfortunately a dead end street most of the time. And this is like the fourth or fifth time that they've pulled this off. Well, all right,
have you
go ahead, Libby? What are you going to say?
Have you guys been watching
the Olympics? Yeah, talk some of
I wanted to get into the Olympics. And now, how's your daughter doing? Number one, and what's happening? What is she involved in?
I report.
She's doing great. She's pumping out pieces left and right.
Okay.
She's working long, hard days. Days start there at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. And they go until 1 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning. So
the pay is good, man. That's the good thing.
She's working hard, and God bless her. She calls every night and she tells us how she's doing. And
all right,
yeah. So
is she starting to pick up any kind of a French accent after being there?
No, she's eating a lot of croissants, a lot of bread, a lot of cheese.
Nice.
So,
all right. So, what did you make of it? I mean, the big controversy, I guess, was the Last Supper thing with the drag queens. I mean, I'm thinking it's the fucking French, Tony. I mean,
It
like
is.
I'm not going to overreact to anything that happens. I
Dionysus.
mean,
It is. I
it's
didn't even,
Marcel Marceau, for God's sake. Give me a break.
I didn't even notice it, to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw the thing and I was like, it's a little bit of a weird scene, but they had all kinds of freaky stuff going on the sides of the Seine,
France.
and I thought it was kind of cool. I really did.
Yeah.
They had jugglers, they had guys on unicycles rolling into the water. I mean, all kinds of crap going on. Singers, dancers, Lady Gaga. I mean, so yeah, I mean, I didn't really when I saw the audacity that was being expressed, by many in the general public, I thought these are the same people that are screaming when are also posting pictures of Donald Trump as Jesus Christ.
Yep.
It's actually true.
Yep. What can I say?
That's actually the weird thing about it.
It's the weirdest thing. When I see those pictures, I'm like, whoa, man, this is really
that's not
a
sacrilegious.
stretch.
Hello.
But I have to say this.
Yeah.
I have to say this. Whether you like her or not, dislike her or whatever, Simone Biles
Oh, she's great.
to win the gold medal
Yeah.
and to get there on the podium with the girls was great. It was. They talked about a redemption tour and all of that. This young lady redeemed herself in such a way, and she handled it with class. And I applaud her.
That's a good team. These gymnastics, the guys, I mean, are so
Fantastic.
likable
They're
that
fun. They're fun.
you couldn't help but root for them. The guy that looks like Clark Kent, that's
Yes, passed out.
Pommel horse thing. Wow. Holy
He is
shit.
Clark Kent.
That
He
guy's great,
is
man.
Superman. He is.
Oh, what nice, humble, well-grounded, well-composed individuals they were. It was heartening to see that this is part of what America's all about, while the focus is on all of this ugliness that's taken place by the two campaigns that are going on for the presidency, which is rather unfortunate. But that was great. I watched some USA Network has all of the weenie stuff on.
Yes, they do.
So I'm watching this guy. I mean, what a shot he was with a bow and arrow. He was like hitting 10 after 10 after 10. I think he made like 10 in a row, oddly. And then, so he was a winner in one of the things I saw. And then the
watch the table
skeet shooting
tennis?
guy from England.
Yeah.
Did you see him? I mean, come on, man. And these things were coming out of nowhere, too. I mean, it was like they were in a video game, and all of a sudden, whoa. And he fucking never missed it. He went 48 out of 50, this guy, with a shotgun.
And the table tennis is it's not ping pong like I know it.
Oh, no, that's a whole different.
Stand in the crowd.
I tell you what was really weird was badminton. I mean, were you ever subjected to having to play badminton? And it's kind of like the cotton candy of tennis, where you hit the shit out of that birdie and then it just dies. But these guys play it at a level that you're looking at and going, if you ever tried the game once, it's amazing what they're doing with this thing.
I didn't know you could do that with a birdie.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they may as well just use an actual bird, but that thing's weird when you hit it because you hit the shit out of it, and it's like not even a wiffle ball when you hit it well. I mean, it goes, but this thing just dies out, and yet they're smashing this thing. They're using finesse. A pretty intense game. Is it Olympic sports worthy? I mean, do you equate it out there with having success in track and field or swimming? And the swimming's been pretty good too, Tony.
Swimming's great.
Swimming's been good. Have you seen the girls? Did you see the girls rugby team?
Oh, only a couple of seconds. I didn't really watch it.
I just can't make sense of rugby. I was with our buddy, the Professor Ken, last week at Landlubbers, and they had it on. So I'm like, all right, fuck it. Let's watch it. And because he's pretty good at knowing weirdo sports. And I'm asking him this rule and that rule. I'm like, do they have downs? Does it stop? He's like, I don't fucking know, Lubie. I don't watch the stupid ass. and I'm like, I feel like it's like football without actual logic. It's just it's like MMA with a ball. Oh, here's a ball.
It's kill the man with the ball.
Yes, that's what it feels like. I'm like, what is this sport? And then one starts running, the other one chokes him from behind, and then the ball comes out, and the other one runs. I'm like, what the fuck?
11 laterals. Yeah, that's great.
There was a player on the ground yesterday. The medal game. There was a player on the U.S. There were 30 seconds left in the game. The U.S. was on the ground with the ball. She laterals it to another player, to another player. She literally outruns the field. And she was 90 yards for this, seemingly a touchdown. And my God, I couldn't believe it. She was on the ground. She was tackled. She was.
Oh, they take some punishment. Yeah, it's kind of a wild game. I mean, you are introduced to some stuff that you wouldn't normally watch. I was watching a little bit. I guess I never saw the conclusion of the women's triathlon, which, wow, I mean, great respect for these people that can. It's a mini version of the Ironman. It's not quite as many miles on any of the events, but nonetheless, I mean, you're running 6 miles after you just rode a bike 25 miles, Tony, and that was following, a swim of like a mile or so.
And they got to swim in the Thames today, so it's you can say what you want about it, but the Olympics, what these people do to dedicate themselves for 4 years for a 10-20 second shot of glory is or a gold or a silver or a bronze is amazing. It's just amazing.
Yeah. Highlight for me so far, Tony, was seeing Jimmer Fredette in the 3-on-3, and what the fuck adaptation is that of 3-on-3 basketball?
I can't.
Oh my God.
It's so weird. I mean, I guess I figured it out finally that when there's a made basket, you take the ball out from underneath the basket in this little encircled area, and then you do have to pass it out over the 3-point line, but it doesn't matter if it's at the top of the key or on the sides. And you have 12 seconds to shoot, which is 12 second shot clock in a 3-on-3 game. I mean, yeah, so it goes fast.
Have you seen the volleyball?
I love the volleyball.
I've watched a little beach volleyball, not a ton, and I have not seen any of the regular volleyball, which I do enjoy because you get long rallies there, whereas you don't in the beach volleyball, which is a game I like also. But
did you see? You like the volleyball, Lubie?
I love the volleyball and the swimming. I've been keeping a decent eye on.
Yeah,
and of course the equestrian events because you can bet on them.
He thinks it's the horse race.
Although, we were talking about it yesterday. My bowed neck theory, where if a horse comes out on the track and he's got the bowed neck, you automatically throw a couple of bucks on him, no matter what the price. And but in the equestrian, they all have the bowed neck. So what do you do with that?
Have you? Okay, we're gonna unearth this.
Yeah.
Have you bet on the Olympics at all?
No, zero. What are you talking about? I'm not even sure any of the games are on the level. I mean, you see this Chinese team? Get the fuck out of here.
They're already getting popped for roids before they begin.
Is there any doubt?
You see the acne on the Chinese swimmers? I mean, come on.
Is there any doubt the American basketball team will win?
I would think not. I mean, big game today against South Sudan. Can Sudan do it again? You're getting 30 in a hook there, Tony. That might be worth a little plunge. Take the points.
After that,
you sick degenerate to even think of such a thing, Tony. I mean, even we wouldn't stoop that low.
Yeah, you would.
All right, Tony. We love you, man, and enjoy the day up there. What's the weather like? We've been Schwitz City over here in South Florida. It's been like a blast furnace out there.
Is 68 degrees.
We can only dream about this, Tony. We get one day a year where it's 60.
I was gonna say it's like February.
You're in the dead of summer in the midst of an international heat wave. You see the people that were watching the tennis in Paris? And they all had the fans going, man. And I'm thinking, that ain't going to do it, kids. You're just stirring up the hot air.
They're using more energy than they.
How does Djokovic, though, playing Nadal, not have a bead of sweat on him while everybody else is frying? And he's at the bottom of this thing where you would think it would be the warmest, no?
Oh.
My God, not a bead of sweat on this kid.
My God.
Unbelievable. I would have died of cramping. All right, Tony, we love you, man. Texas Roadhouse Restaurant's always a great place to go. And can't wait to get in on our next visit. We have to make some arrangements when you get back. Go out there.
We should do
and pause on the gracious and
I gotta say,
Ed.
The Texas Roadhouse is by far the only they don't advertise, yet they do well.
Well, they're advertising here. I mean, when you suggested that to Ed Garcia the other day, I nearly lost my
Well,
my
because
heart skipped a beat.
it's word of through us. We are big believers in Roadhouse.
We are ambassadors,
and
yes.
we enjoy Roadhouse. We're not
Brand
just doing it
ambassadors.
for the money.
Yeah.
Whether
It's not like a commercial.
Orders of it, who also are partners with Roadhouse. It's not just some TV ad for some person who's never actually eaten there.
There you go.
Before they joined us, they made us go in there, and
Yes.
I always thought that was fucking weird. But Tony's like, "Come on, we got to go down there." I'm like, "Go down there? I don't want to." Okay, so then
Remember
we
you used to bring that stuff to the studio, though?
they wanted
that
us
was
to
sick.
come in, see what they do, taste what they do, and actually be believers, very much like what Mayo does, before they would join the Defo show.
You
Segreto
went to the
family.
kitchens and they make everything from scratch. They
Great.
Well,
you
and
can't
that's
do
the
it.
thing
Awesome.
is,
You have one there in Vermont, Burlington?
do you have it
No?
there?
there's one in Vermont in Albany.
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 Where's Albany, Vermont?
No, not Albany, Vermont.
York, Albany, the capital.
York.
Oh, how far away is that now? That's your slab.
An hour and a half.
That's all?
Yeah.
Get out of here, Tony. I never would have thought that. All right, I'm going to have to look at a map of the United States. I figured you were like out in the middle of fucking nowhere. Right? Unbelievable.
Well, I am, but
Yeah.
I get through the dirt roads.
Yeah.
I travel the main roads. So
All right. What happens if the car, blows a tire and the battery dies? Are you fucked? I mean, what happens there? Fucked. All right.
then you hope that.
Fucked in Paradise. That's going to be the name of my book.
Oh God!
All right, we love you, Tony. You're a
love
great
you.
American. Always a pleasure. And thanks so much for being with us again this week.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Tony Segreto, ladies and gentlemen.
Sir.
All right, Tony was having fun. 68 fucking degrees, Lubie. Holy
That's
shit!
annoying.
Imagine that with that woodsy feeling, and you can almost feel yourself inhaling the chlorophyll that's
Yes.
in these plants. That's gonna, take all of the bad shit out of your body and cleanse it. Oh my God!
The reason he goes there for like 7 months.
We used to, sort of make fun of Tony.
Yes. Well, I don't know if
This
he go there
whole
that
thing.
long, but he go there for 3.
Yeah, but still, I mean, is it not a brilliant idea?
Yes, it is. Right now,
Spend
I
your
would be
summers
everywhere.
there. You don't have to deal with this schmutz out here every day. My God.
I love this area, but this time of the year is not fun.
Yeah.
It's just rough.
I've been breaking down after the walks of life a little bit. It is definitely and I enjoy it. I mean, look, I only exercise to get the massive amount of schwitz I can, most maximum. And so I enjoy that aspect of it. I want to be sweating by the minute I exit the door, all the way through, just dripping. But this is a little bit much, no? Libby, I mean, have you been outside doing anything?
Yes, I have to. I have a husky, and
the dog,
they have
yeah.
to get out a lot, and so I have to walk him literally 5-6 times a day. And I try to do one really long, good mile walk every day. And I used to do it throughout the day. Now I just do it before 10 because I can't even imagine doing it later in the day. And it's literally at 9:30 in the morning, 9:45. You would think it still should be morning dew and all that bullshit. And I'm yelling at him because he wants
Oh
to
no,
smoke.
it's a steam.
Fucking wolf.
Yeah. Let's go, man. Skippy, move it. Is Green Mountain Harness Track still there? I would say no to that, Andy. I'm going to say no, although at one time it was on my bucket list of places to visit.
I'm sure.
Green Mountain. I want to say I've never been there, although I've been to Vermont a few times, and it's always very pleasant. It really is. Although not a ton of things to do.
No, I wouldn't go
It's
there.
not like your nightlife is going to pick up or anything like that. But anyway, we will see you guys later on. Now, where are you guys going to be now? What's the story? Same scenario for me as yesterday?
Yeah,
or,
well, no, you don't have to do it at all today.
Oh,
because we're gonna have Alex and Diego from Temple Street, and they'll join from the beginning,
Oh,
and then
good.
they're on, and they'll be doing the food thing, and that's not far from you, right across the street, somewhat from our friends at Batch and the Taco Craft in the Flagler Village, Fort Lauderdale area.
Great place, man. I love their innovation.
They're celebrating their 10-year anniversary, which is really freaking.
Oh, good. All right.
So we'll be there today, and then tomorrow we presume you rejoin us.
I'm gonna make it to Casa D'Angelo, man. Yeah, I haven't been to the Boca one, And it's been a couple of years since I actually dined at the Casa D'Angelo on Sunrise there. But it was when they first opened up, it was a very frequented, DeForest visit. What would that be? No, I was a frequent visitor. Let's put it that way. And I always loved the stuff that they put out there. It was always first class. So look forward to that. All right. So you guys will be there at 1 o'clock. Mike Mayo's
Yes.
Lunchbox. And then that's on Let's Eat South Florida, where most people catch the show. And we will see you guys tomorrow.
Yes, right here.
Possible trivia challenge with Gurgles.
Yes, Perks is in. More trivia. We love new people. We'll have lots and lots of viewers, and only 5 people play. And we love our 5, but anyone else who would love to play, we'd love to have you. We'd love to open up the
Always good to get new blood in there. Yeah.
group. If you're in South Florida, Landlubbers, you can get there anywhere you are. And even if you're not in South Florida, you can come down.
It's a generous prize. And on top of that, you could get out there on a Thursday night when Lubie's doing his live trivia with the professor, which, I mean, that's a strong, solid live appearance anywhere.
We had, again, it's so funny because you're out east where it seems like things slow down. And I say seems like because out west, that's not the case. We literally had like 13 teams. Our record's like 15. We had 13 teams last week. The place was fucking, you can ask Andy, was packed.
Beautiful.
And I turned to Ken, I'm like, this place is so funny. It's like the anti-South Florida.
Yeah. No, a great vibe in that place. I used to enjoy going there, even though, I wasn't inclined to want to go out at night after doing morning radio and then schlep all the way out there, set up another show and talk about high school sports, which I knew very little about, for hours on end. What were we doing 2 hours of that when we were out there, Lubie?
2 hours? No. Did we?
Was that
I don't think it was 2 hours. I think it was an hour.
Hour?
And a half? I don't feel like it was 2 hours.
No, it was more than a half hour. That's for sure. Because we used to have. I mean, we actually had like some like high level college coaches come on the show because they all wanted to recruit South Florida. They heard we were doing like a high school show. I mean, I remember Brett Bielema coming on the show when he was coaching at Wisconsin, and I mean, it was interesting. But the food was always good. Great vibe in there. Yeah, great place to watch sports. So Ken will be there. All right, we will see you guys tomorrow then with a trivia challenge with Dave Gurgles Gurley. For Mike Lubitz, I'm Jeff DeForest. Tony Segreto, we thank him. Chris Perkins, brilliant earlier on the program. We'll see you next time as we leave you now that.
The time.
It's 9:13.
Let's go to eat a damn snack.
Look what they done to my show.